Jungkook said this to Jimin, the army world came to a standstill. What was behind his silence? A moment that may only last a matter of seconds, but that thrilled the entire army world. When Jungkook, who has always been known to be full of energy and warmth, suddenly said something to Jimin, and the world seemed to stop. Not only because of his words, but because of what happened after. Silence so deep, so heavy, that everyone who watched fell silent. What exactly did Jungkook say, and why did Jimin's response make the atmosphere change so drastically? On a private occasion in the military, of which only a small leak reached army ears, Jungkook reportedly approached Jimin with a serious expression. Witnesses said that usually the two would joke with each other, hit each other lightly, or share a smile. But this time it's different. Jungkook stood before Jimin, looking directly into his eyes, and in a quiet but firm voice he said, "If you continue to hold everything on your own, I will be the one to break first." That sentence, as simple as it sounds, seemed to hit the entire atmosphere around them. No laughter, no spontaneous response. Just silent, long, and heavy. It has long been circulated among loyal fans that Jimin is the type of person who always carries his own burden. He rarely shows his pain, preferring to keep smiling so that others do not worry. However, Jimin's recent mood swings, a seemingly empty smile, a fatigue he couldn't hide, made Jungkook finally feel the need to speak up as a friend, as a sister, as someone who cared so much. Jungkook couldn't bear to see Jimin slowly disappear behind his stubbornness. That sentence was the cry of his own heart, an honesty he had endured. When he heard Jungkook's words, Jimin just looked down. He didn't answer, not argue, not even crying, just shut up. But in that silence, everyone knew how deep the wound he was feeling. Sometimes, not responding to anything is the only way to show how much the words penetrate directly into the heart. Jungkook didn't force Jimin to talk. He just stood there, accompanying her, without a word. In a world where everyone is in a race to speak, the courage to shut up and stay is the greatest form of love. When little news of this conversation spread, the army around the world fell silent. Many claimed to have goosebumps reading the transcript of Jungkook's words. Others wept silently, feeling the depth of their relationship between the two. For ARMY, Jimin and Jungkook's relationship is not just an ordinary friendship. They are family to each other, become each other's strength when the world becomes too heavy to bear alone. Although the details are still hidden, a few days after the incident, Jimin looks a little different. It didn't change drastically right away, but there are small moments where his eyes begin to shine again. His smile feels a little lighter, as if the great burden he was carrying was slowly beginning to lift, not because he had fully recovered, but because he now knew there was someone who was ready to help him carry it. And for Jungkook, perhaps that was the purpose of his simple words. Not to heal Jimin, but to make sure that Jimin knew he was never alone. I end this hard and fast world. Sometimes one sentence is enough to stop time. P0, and for Jimin and Jungkook, as well as the entire army that loves them. That moment is a reminder that the greatest courage is to express the taste, and the greatest strength is to be willing to listen in silence. Since that incident, the change between Jimin and Jungkook is not only felt by both of them, but also by everyone who watches them closely. Their silence is not the end. It is the beginning of a stronger, more honest, and deeper bond. After that heavy moment, many noticed how Jimin and Jungkook's interaction changed. No longer full of boisterous jokes as usual, but becoming calmer. There were small glances between them, as if to say, "I'm here." There is no need for many words because they have understood each other through silence. When Jimin looked gloomy, Jungkook was quite present nearby, without the need to ask. When Jungkook felt worried, Jimin only had to nod softly to calm him down. They have found a new way of speaking, through presence, through attention, through honesty without a voice. The army also did not remain silent. Seeing how the two support each other, this fandom also takes a similar stance. Support lovingly, without demanding explanations, without forcing laughter. Many fans began sending messages of encouragement to Jimin and Jungkook, filling social media with simple but heartfelt phrases. "We are here. You are not alone. We believe in you." There are small gestures made, such as sending love letters to Jimin and Jungkook or donations on their behalf as a form of tacit but meaningful support. Many are wondering how this emotional moment will affect the dynamics of BTS going forward. Some fandom analysts have even speculated that the depth of emotion that is happening between Jimin and Jungkook right now will bring new colors in their music and works in the future. Imagine the songs that may have been born from this heavy feeling. More honest lyrics, more wound and healing compositions. BTS has always been famous for being able to pour their personal experiences into songs, and experiences as intimate as these are will certainly inspire much more electrifying works as time goes on and the wounds begin to heal. Perhaps the world will again see Jimin and Jungkook joking around as usual. But they and the ARMY knew that behind it all, there was one moment where the world came to a standstill. One moment where love, sincerity, and courage speak louder than anything. When Jungkook said, "If you continue to hold everything by yourself, I will be the one who will be destroyed first," he didn't just save Jimin. He also showed the world what it really means to be a family, and for the ARMY, it wasn't just a moment. It was part of their long journey together, a journey where, in every laugh, in every cry, and in every silence, they're always together. Always take care of each other. Always reinforce each other. True love is not always noisy. Sometimes, they just need the courage to shut up, stay, and look at each other with an open heart. If you want, I can move on to the section on new changes in Jimin and Jungkook's relationship after this moment. After that storm of emotions, Jimin and Jungkook's relationship slowly undergoes subtle but noticeable changes. A change that can only be understood by those who really pay attention. Deeper, more mature, more sincere relationships than ever. Jimin, who usually holds back his own feelings, begins to open up a little space for Jungkook to enter into his world. He began to allow himself to look fragile in the presence of Jungkook, something he rarely did even among the other BTS members. The smile he used to hide his wounds is now slowly becoming more honest, not because he had to, but because he feels safe enough to do so. Meanwhile, Jungkook, who has often shown his cheerful and energetic side, also showed his mature side. He was calmer, more patient, more attentive to the little details about Jimin, like reminding him to eat when he forgot, or simply sitting next to him without a word, giving his presence as an assurance that Jimin was no longer alone. Their relationship was actually built a long time ago, even since the trainee days when they were very young. Jimin, who is older, has always looked up to Jungkook like an older brother. Jungkook, who was still shy and confused at the time, found calm in Jimin's presence. As the years passed, they grew together, facing the pressures of fame, failure, victory, even loss. Behind the glittering stage, there are two young people who support each other, struggling to remain themselves in a changing world. The quietly meaningful moments that have occurred lately are just the culmination of that long journey. Proof that true friendship is not formed by laughter, but by the courage to stay when everything feels heavy. ARMY, who knew them very well, caught these changes like the change of seasons. Not striking, but felt. Fans began to appreciate their silence more, understanding that sometimes it doesn't take a lot of noisy interaction to show affection. In fact, many of the soldiers who started creating works, fan art, fan fiction, even small songs were inspired by the new intimacy between Jimin and Jungkook. Stories about home and peace became dominant themes, as if everyone knew their relationship was now not just about ordinary friendship. It was about finding a home in a world that wasn't always friendly. Over time, this new relationship could form a stronger foundation, not just for the two of them, but for BTS as a whole. Because when two people take care of each other sincerely, that energy is transmitted to those around them. Perhaps, in the upcoming BTS album, we will feel a new depth of emotion born from this experience.